Well, hello everyone, welcome back. Just a quick video, not going to be a very long one because I am doing this video for a second time. I actually did a teardown video and explained a few things about how the HP 8656B was put together and this and that, and Dino had pointed out in the video that the RF connector was sitting at an angle, so we tore that apart and we fixed that and put it back together. Well, I think in one of my last videos I had mentioned about SD card failure. Well, believe it or not, the new one that I bought, it failed also. So you got to watch buying these cheap SD cards. So I went ahead and bought a couple more expensive cards because I like to have several of them laying around, and it makes transfer easier when I can just pop one card out, stick another one in to hold content for another video. But anyway, now I'm taking my videos as I shoot them and I'm putting them on a 1 terabyte drive, so I don't lose any more video footage that I shot. But first thing I want to say is we made out okay by the storm when Hurricane Florence came in. Wasn't no problems. Was gone for a couple of days. My wife just didn't feel safe being here with the river not so far away because things flood fast. When that water rises, it rises quick, so we didn't want to be stranded here. Missed 1 hour of work, so that was pretty good. So no time off from the storm at work, and we had very minimum damage. Now, I've been working on my house doing some repairs since the last Hurricane Matthew that we had, and we had a lot of damage back then. Well, unfortunately, our location and being in the 100-year flood zone, and now we've been flooded twice in this time frame, so insurance is not very cooperative in this area. So there's things that it covers, things it won't covered. So one thing I got to do is get some money saved up to put a new roof on the house. We lost more shingles during this hurricane, and now I've got like 4 or 5 spots in the ceiling that's is damaged, and I had one floor damaged where the top cap came off and water ran down between the 2 walls and onto the bathroom floor and has damaged that floor. So nothing I can't fix, but it does cost, so it takes a little time. So it's just more to add to the list. Plus after spending about $5 on remodeling the kitchen. But that's just the way things go in life. Anyway, but we made out good. I'm not complaining. I think we were very blessed by this one. This thing just completely missed us, and no water that was coming down the road, so that's always a good thing. Anyway, like I say, Dino had mentioned that this connector was at an angle, and yes, it was. It was kind of bent to the left here, and I've looked at the connector real good, and there was no signs of anything has hit it, so it hasn't been dropped or nothing. And this is just a simple L bracket that's bolted here by these 2 screws here on the side, and it comes down and then bends out, and it's got a hole drilled in it with this connector. So in that video I had took this apart and straightened out that connector, and plus it was a little loose, and went ahead and tightened it up. The owner, Dave, of this piece of equipment, like I said, he had 2 of them. He was showing the same problems on both. Well, we determined that it was the way that he was using the oscilloscope to look at the signal. And that's the phone constantly going off. But it's nothing against the way he was doing it. He just didn't know that how a signal generator affects oscilloscope without using a balanced line with a terminator on it. So no problems there. But he watched the video, explained a lot to him, he was very happy, so he has gave us this unit. And this will be a good piece of equipment to have here on the bench. I'm going to take the 8640 that's sitting in the bottom over here, and I'm going to move it to another bench, and I'm going to replace the 8640 with the 8656. It's a little bit more user friendly. You doesn't have to dial in the frequency and dial up the output. Here it's just all, you know, front panel entry. That makes things a lot quicker. His unit does not have the front RF port. His unit has the rear RF port, and this one just has a knockout plug in it where it was never populated. This one was put directly in the front. So I'm looking at the manual, and I think the ports, as far as the physical connector that goes here, is SMA to N connector, should be identical, should be the same port. It's just bolted here instead of in the front. So what I'm going to do is show him how to basically move this around to the front. And I've fabricated a bracket to go in here and a piece of double shielded coaxial cable. We'll not be using the rigid cable like is in here, so you know, this piece of cable will be fine. It's good up to about 800 megahertz. This unit only goes to 900 megahertz, so shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. So to get into this unit, all we do is remove 2 screws on this side and 2 on the other side, and that'll get us into the unit so we can take the covers off. And it's very simple. Just remove each one. You'll see the handles. Now, you know, like test equipment or even ham radios, I do not carry them things by these handles on the side, because they've gotten old and they've gotten a lot of stress in them. You know, it'd be bad to have your favorite piece of equipment hit the ground or concrete or whatever due to a handle that failed. So I never use the handles to do that with. It's just too easy to damage it. Once both of those are out, the only thing that really holds it together anyway is those plastic clips that you saw. And just simply raise straight up on it, and the cover comes right off. So here, you know, we're looking at the top side, and I've always loved the way HP or Hewlett Packard constructed their equipment. It just makes it so easy of working on. Now in the video footage that I lost, I actually went further into detail, but if you're servicing one of these, you always put it with the RF port side down, and you'll see a bunch of 3/8 nuts in here. You actually take those nuts off, and this whole circuit board hinges down. As you can see, there's a rod that runs through around the outer edge, and you can see where it's actually hinged here on both sides, and that rod just runs all the way around the complete circuit board and back down the other side. This makes it very easy to get to the other side of the board. You don't even have to take any cabling loose. It just simply take out all these bolts, and this board will just hinge right down. And this is the recommended way you would service one of these pieces of equipment, because not only can you have this side down The bottom side is done the exact same way. Just take the bolts out and this hinges down. It makes it very easy to service. You don't even have to disconnect any cables. Everything just lays right down. Now, if you're going to be in one of these working on it for some time, like you found out that's a problem, you have to order the parts, you didn't want to put everything back together, it's always good to take note that right here, as you can see, is this big old school 28 pin EPROM. This EPROM is erased by ultraviolet light. So that means if you got this thing sitting on your bench and the sun is shining in through the window for days and that ultraviolet light is hitting this window, you can erase that chip. Simply cut your piece of black electrical tape, put over it. That will stop that from happening, and you won't have to worry about going on the web and trying to find someone that has a dump of that chip so you can reprogram it. It'll save you a lot of time on that. So yeah, always a good idea. And you can leave the tape on it. You want to take it off, just leave it on it. You never have to worry about it being erased by ultraviolet light. So looking here under the bottom of the unit, we get down here to the bottom side where the RF port would be, either on the front or the back. You'll see these two boxes here. These are your attenuators, attenuator 1, attenuator 2. And you know, it's kind of mechanical. It switches in as you change output level. It switches in and out and increase or decrease the RF out. You see we have rigid coax cable. Comes into this end and just goes straight through to a SMA and then into attenuator 2. Then over here we got another SMA with rigid coax. I'll zoom in on that. And you can see this piece of rigid coax, it just has a bend in it and then goes out to the front panel, and that goes to the RF port. Now if this was on the rear of the unit, this piece of rigid cable would just actually turn, go around the back and come out, and back here in the back there is a square hole right here where that cable will just go right back and tie right into the port in the back. And this is how Dave's other unit would be. So all Dave would actually have to do is remove this back panel from the unit. Go ahead and disconnect this cable up here on the front, so he'll have room to move that out. Take the back panel off. There's several bolts here. I think there's like 8 bolts in the back that would need to come out. So he can get this back panel off. He'll be able to disconnect this SMA to in connector, take it completely out, and then just leave the piece of rigid coax in it. Maybe take a piece of tape and tape it, or tie wrap it to some of these other cables. That way it's there in case somebody wants to go back. And in the front, what he'll need to do is there's going to be 4 screws on both sides of the panel, and we'll go ahead and pop those out right quick. We'll take this one out. One here at the top. Turn the unit around. Now on this side there's a plastic cover that covers the decorative trim. You just insert a little blade into the end. You can lift this thing right up. Just be gentle with it. It comes right out, no problems. And then there's 2 more screws. Have to be removed. And that's all it is. Once I stuck the bottom cover back on so I could set it back on the turntable. Now with those 4 screws removed, this front panel just slides right off, and we'll just lay it right up here on the front. And here you can see the how the RF port is mounted to this bracket, and the rigid coax comes right through the back of it, screws on. This is like I said, end male to SMA connector. So once you take this connector loose, there are 2 screws, one here and one just below it, that releases that bracket. We can go ahead and just remove these 2 screws right out, so I can give him more of a idea of how this will mount in here. And there it is. And this is just simply held on by 9/16 nut here on the back. So I removed the RF port from the bracket. Like I say, you know, it's only a 9/16 nut on the back of it. And the reason why I've done this, because I wanted to take measurements of this bracket. And it's about 80 millimeters long. So very simple bracket, you know, nothing really extreme in making it. You can take a flat piece of metal and it's about 2 millimeters thick. Cut this out, bend it, drill it, and tap it. And that is exactly what I have done here. So I pretty much reproduced what we already had. I just don't have the slotted hole in the front. You know, just a round hole. You know, RF connector. It has these little spikes or teeth here that will dig into the metal, so that's no problem at all. So we can simply put the little lock washer and the nut back on here, and I'll show you just how well this one fits up in here. So at this point you just simply stick it in here and start your coax on it if you have the rigid. But what I have is a piece of double shielded cable that will screw on and then stick through this hole in the back, and the other end will just go directly to that second attenuator. And then you'll need some 6/32 countersink screws, your choice of what you want, either Phillips or Allen key or whatever. And this bracket will just bolt right in place, just like the original one does. The only thing he will have to do is come in here and either use a chassis knockout or a big bit and drill the hole through the front panel, which shouldn't be too hard to do. Once that's done, the front will just simply go right back on, and there you are, just like it was bought that way. So very simple conversion to do, no problems at all, and I think this will make it a little bit nice for him to have his front RF port. So Dave, I hope that'll help you. You know, this video was mainly for you anyway, to see how to convert this RF port over to the front. And I'll get this little package in the mail off to you this coming week, so you can go ahead and get that done. It's a lot easier having the port on the front than it does in the back, especially if you got it setting up on something, you know, and you just makes it easier for changing out different test leads and such, instead of having to pull it out of a rack or off the bench and connect something to the back. I will bring this up one more time on the keg DeoxIt video contest. As you can see, we are currently sitting at second place with 1425 votes. The leader is at 1622 votes, and this ends at the end of the month. I've noticed no way that I'm going to overcome this leader's video with the amount of support he has behind it. I will tell you that entering this contest has taught me a lot of things about contests that I will not go in. It does show me what people like, what people don't like. I mean, I'm just surprised that you know, I've done as well as I've done, and it's all from the support of you guys that watch this channel. I mean, 1425 votes, third place is in 291 votes. So that's really a big lead out in front. But with this guy's support on his video, and like I say, I'm not going to get into the quality of people's videos and what they're doing and what they're showing, but it's kind of a disappointment from the YouTube community, because I will say, you know, this guy really does nothing for the YouTube community. He's more on a private Facebook page, but you know, it's just the way contests go, and it's what people like. I'm surprised. If you can see, mine is green, and that's because I you know, vote on mine. But if you look down here at this video, currently in 5th place, this is Alan W2 AEW at 73 votes, and you notice his is green also. I've also been voting for Alan. You know, I like Alan's video. He demonstrates how the product helped bring this Kenwood station monitor back to life. It's a good video. You know, I've watched every video up here, and you know, mine was probably one of the longest, but you know, mine was in a real world application, and some of the other ones were more commercialized type, and you know, some lower quality. This, again, I'm not going to get into what people have done. I will say Blue Grow, he had a pretty decent video. He's had some support, but just didn't have the support that he needed. Again, really surprised that Alan is sitting at 73 votes, and that's mostly because Alan did not do any follow-up videos of being in the contest, and you know, he's just sitting there, and I've been voting for him. You know, Alan's got some great content on YouTube. again, big thanks to Dave for sending in this HP 8656B. This will make a nice signal generator to have here on the bench. You know, a lot of times we need multiple signals when we're working on a piece of equipment. So, you know, with 3 good solid signal generators up here, that's now fulfilled. Will be no problem at all getting signals out. I'm still in the market for something that goes way on up into the gigahertz range. Like I said, I do work on some remote control stuff, especially for RC airplanes and cars and trucks. And some of this stuff is up, you know, 3 and 4 gigahertz. So I've still got to find something. Thought about even making a converter to convert. That's a lot of work to do. Don't really have the time to do it. So I'll be keeping my eyes open for something else that'll go up in, you know, wouldn't mind something to go up in the 6 gigahertz range. You know, above that, I see no other use why I would need something to go that high. Anyway, thanks for watching. Appreciate all the support. Leave your comments down below, and we'll see you in the next video, because we still got a lot to do here. Bye now.